Jamie.
Oh, whoops, I was
Yeah.
on mute. Okay. Can I please have a motion to come out of executive?
Motion.
Second. This is Heather. Heather Santoro, second.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills at which formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Yes. Mr. Baker?
Here.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Mrs. Frenda?
Here.
Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Ms. Nathans?
Here.
Mrs. Santoro?
Here.
Mrs. Tover?
Here.
Ms. Virtue? Ms. Virtue?
Here.
Mrs. Rye?
Here.
Mrs. Lees?
Here.
Okay, all present. I have a few different emails for correspondence. I have an email from Anna Spitaleri. I have an email from the Somerset Hills Lacrosse Club, an email from Somerset Hills Mountaineers, and an email from Bill Simpson.
Okay. Report of the superintendent.
Good evening, everybody. Before Heather and I begin the budget presentation, I'd like to share a few words. The world certainly feels upside down lately. As we pause for what may be the first meeting ever conducted virtually, Somerset Hills School District is grateful for so many. For teachers, transportation staff, guidance, custodians, case managers, media specialists, administrators, nurses, secretaries, paraprofessionals, maintenance, and certainly our technology staff. The last 2 weeks have been like no others, yet our staff has consistently and collectively worked hard, tenaciously and optimistically collaborating in their overarching devotion to students' needs. The camaraderie, team spirit, and collective energy that has gotten us through these weeks has been nothing short of amazing. Students, we miss you all and appreciate your go-with-the-flow sensibility. Parents, we thank you for working with us through a challenging period. And for the board, I can only say I have never been prouder. You know what they say about what happens when the going gets tough, and this district has certainly risen to the occasion. Are there things we're still tweaking? Yes. Will there be challenges we haven't yet planned for in the days ahead? Most likely. But I remain confident that together we can navigate these rough waters and come out on the other side. Thank you. Heather and I are now going to present the budget for 2021. You will notice if you're at home that each slide has a number in the lower right-hand corner, and I will refer, as Heather will, to these numbers as we move forward. I will do my best to speak to some of the thought behind the budget from a standpoint of initiatives and goals, and Heather can speak to the metrics. As always, the primary objective of any budget is to advance initiatives consistent with district goals, in this case as established through the strategic plan and by the board, in order to enhance the means by which we implement the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. We must note that we also need to sustain mandates like Achieve NJ or NJSLA testing, mentoring, support our existing programs, provide time for professional collaboration, protect our facilities, as investments through ongoing maintenance, and we have continued attention to physical security. In the area of teaching and learning, we are focused next year on implementing a new math curriculum, grades K-5. We're looking for one that is highly aligned to the standards. Our math supervisor has been working with teachers at Bedwell and in the 5th grade to explore programs, and they are in the process of identifying one that they feel will best meet the needs of our students. We also are looking forward to updating our social studies curriculum at the middle school and the high school for state mandated training changes, that will include a requirement to have instruction that accurately portrays political, economic, and social contributions of specific groups. The strategic plan certainly spoke to our art curriculum, and we're thrilled to be offering some new courses here at the high school. They come with a cost for new materials and for curriculum writing, and our partnership with Teachers College will continue. We're so fortunate that Bedwell and the middle school are both pilot schools, and this provides teachers of language arts with on-site authentic professional development that is embedded in their practice. In the areas of health and wellness, we are looking forward to implementing the rotate and drop schedule at the high school. I know Dr. Nigel has often spoke about the benefits that he anticipates that this will provide his students. We have been working with supervisors and teachers to get ready for this. Unfortunately, our professional development on the 13th had to be reconfigured at the last minute. We were hoping to send lots of teachers out to other area schools that currently run this schedule. In implementing that schedule, we're going to have a universal lunch, which will bring with it an increased need for custodial staff. We have new furniture purchases, and professional development will be ongoing for our teachers. We also will be in the last year, next year, of our Culture and Climate Initiative at the middle school. You will recall last year and earlier this year we've spoken about structured learning experiences, and next year we look forward to implementing these for our high school STARS students and devising a means of potentially implementing this for a larger student population. Both Teresa Vaught and Colleen Butler have worked on building a network of local businesses through the Bernardsville Chamber of Commerce and the Basking Ridge Business Alliance, and we look forward to growing this. In the area of security, historically we have talked about our SLEOs and increased physical security measures that we have taken. Next year, we're looking forward to focusing on the cybersecurity of the district's infrastructure and also having a generator as a backup for Bedwell, the only school at the moment who does not have a generator in place. We will also continue to support flexible classroom furniture as we have for the last few years. Lastly, I do want to speak to changes that we anticipate in terms of our staffing. When we look at our numbers overall, and Heather will speak to this in a few minutes, last June the district had 1,968 students. In October of this year, we had 1,927, down 41. And October of next year, we anticipate 1,895, down another 32. These changes are projected by our demographer out for 5 years, and though it looks different at different building levels, what we're currently looking at for 23-24 would have the current district population at 1,774. In navigating this, certainly we recognize that we want to provide premier service to all of our students, and you will recall that salaries and benefits in the budget account for roughly 75 to 80% of our monies. So it's critical through this change that we look at where there is need, where there may be excess, and how we can balance things properly. Thank you. That sort of speaks to all of the thought behind the budget for next year, and Heather, now you can kind of take us through some of the details of the numbers.
Okay. Under the budget summary expenses here, we have under our current expense, we have an increase of $875,387, which is a 2.2% increase. Under capital outlay, which is our new bedwell generator and a couple of other capital expenses that we will have, we are down 20%. Our total, you're not hearing anything.
Me neither.
Huh?
Are you on mute? Are you speaking
No,
to
I
your mic?
didn't. Yeah, can you hear me now? I'm sorry, yes or no?
I still can't hear anything, Shannon.
Can you hear me this way?
Now I can hear.
All right, let me try that way.
Here now, yeah.
All right, well, I just hung up my phone, I'll try this phone now. All right, so for our total general fund, we are at 1.7% increase. And then for our special revenue fund, which is the grants, which is the IDEA and the ESSA, we are expecting pretty much the same revenue source, so we are at zero there. Then for our debt service fund, we have a decrease of $35,000 or 1.1%. Our total expense budget will be going up about 1.5%. I'm up to slide 9. On slide 9, I'm looking at the revenues. So we have a budgeted fund balance of $2,135,845, and that is a decrease of 12.8% from last year. This includes a withdrawal from capital reserve of $275,000 for the bedwell generator. Our total local tax levy is up 2%. And then our tuition, we are expecting additional Bedminster students in the freshman class, and the exiting senior class is a little bit smaller, so we are expecting an additional $111,590 from Bedminster. For other, that would be rentals and subscription busing and other miscellaneous sources of revenue. We are expecting about a 2.8% increase there. So our total local funds are up about 1.1%. We did get an increase in state aid this year. We got an additional $259,002. And so our total general fund increase is about 1.7%. Looking at the special revenue fund, we're at that same, expecting the same amount of revenue for our IDEA and ESSA. And then for the debt service fund, we have a budgeted debt payment of $129,038. Our local tax levy is down about 5.3%. And then we got additional state aid towards our debt service. And so our total debt service fund is down 1.1%, and our total revenue budget is 1.5%. So for the local tax levy, when we look at that, we see that the general fund is an increase of 2%. Our debt service fund is down 5.3%, and so our total taxes is only an increase of 1.3%. When we look at our projected enrollment, we are looking at Bedwell going down a little bit. We're looking at Burnsville Middle School going down a little bit. We're looking at the high school going up a little bit. Our out-of-district enrollment is about the same, and so our total enrollment is going down some for next year. And these are estimates, of course. When we look at the tax levy by town, we use that formula that has the 5% equalization and then the 95% based upon enrollment. And then these are the numbers that we're looking at. So we've got 26 million for Burnsville, about 1.9 million for Far Hills, and 6.6 million for Peapack Gladstone. And then we're looking at the average student cost by tax levy to be about $22,305. Then we're looking at the estimated school tax for 2020. The Burnsville rate per 100 is 1.225. For Far Hills, we've got 0.473. And for Peapack Gladstone, we've got 8.97. So everybody can take the value of their home and they can multiply it times this rate and get an example, and I'm using an example here of a $600,000 home for P-PAC Gladstone times that 8.97, and you would get $5,382 for the school
That's
tax.
0.897.
What did I just say? Sorry.
8.9.
Oh, yeah.
8.97.
No, it's definitely not 8.97, 0.897. And then the budget components, we have the salaries and benefits represents 31.8 million, and we have 78.7% of the general fund budget. Then we have special ed tuition and other services are at 7%. We have transportation at 4%, and then all other, which would include our co-curricular and our sports and our supplies and purchase services, all of that represents 10%. And that concludes the budget presentation. And does anybody have any questions? Hearing none, I guess we can move forward.
Okay. Public questions and comments for actionable agenda items. We very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any agenda item that is actionable. Towards the end of the meeting, there is a second public forum on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public questions and comments will be limited to 30 minutes. Thank you for your input. Do we have any public questions and comments for actionable agenda items at this time?
Yeah, hi, Madam President. This is Mike Long at 22 Crest Drive. I kind of have a question, so I do this right. You were all so kind to allow me to speak last time because I had a conflict, and I did not have an actionable agenda item, but I was able to speak. My understanding was there was going to be an agenda item on the turf field usage, but I don't feel that I see it on the agenda.
Right, we're not voting on anything about that tonight.
Okay. I will then, I'll wait till the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on actionable agenda items from the public? Okay, if there are none, we need a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion, Janice. I second.
Thank you, Janice, and thank you, Kat. Okay, Bob, could we hear from you on finance?
Wait, do we have any,
I'm sorry, you're right. Any discussion about the minutes? And then we need to roll call.
yes. Okay, I'll do the roll call then. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans? Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue? Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes. Okay, Bob. Finance, please.
All right, the Finance Committee met on March the 11th, last Wednesday, for 2.5 hours. We reviewed the budget we're going to vote on this evening. We were happy about getting state aid, which would allow the administration to balance the budget without hurting all the programs that we were hoping to have for the coming year. So the total tax increase, as you just saw, was 1.3%, shared between the three towns. The next item we talked about was the transfer of the leftover money from the last referendum for the high school media center and a few other items. There's $500,000 and change left. By moving that over to the debt service fund, our debt service is going to be flat for the next 4 years. We're taking that $500,000, dividing it between the next 4 budget years. So the number that Heather put down for the $2,995,000 will be steady for the next 4 years, which is a wonderful thing. So, and then when we get to that, when that runs out, the debt service will still be around the same number. There'll be a slight blip 6 years out from now, and then it just falls off quickly. It goes down under $2 million. So that's what we're going to be voting on tonight. That's a recommendation of our bond council. We also talked about the Bedminster tuition reconciliation, which was just completed for the school year 2018-2019. The spreadsheet shows we now owe them $97,000 in change. That number is higher than we hoped for, but that was before we instituted our new procedures between Bedminster and the Somerset Hills to do a better job estimating the tuition. So what Bedminster will do this year, when we get to the June payment, they will pay less money. So when we go to July, we'll be even. Okay? And the last thing we talked about was the ice hockey program. 2 parents representing the Somerset Hills Ice Hockey Club came to us, and they wanted to know if we could do 2 things. They wanted the funding from the board increase, not per player because it's still at $1,000, but last year we voted $1,000 per player at a cap of 15. They had 15 players. Next year they project, because the hockey program is thriving finally, they're going to have 21 players as their best guess from Berners High, 7 from Middlesex and 7 from Somerville. So they wanted us to increase the cap up to at least 21 or higher. Plus they need new uniforms. They showed us all the uniforms they have for the varsity players. They're in terrible shape. A set of uniforms costs $350 per student. So we did find out that the current season that just ended, we checked with Mr. Hoppy, and we have about $5,000 left of the $15,000. So the committee felt we should allocate the remaining funds to help them buy extra jersey for the end of this school year. And then for next year, because the athletic budget was already set, we want Mr. Hoppy to explore whether we can increase the cap to $25,000 maximum. But since everybody's been working on the virus things, I know Mr. Hoppy's busy between now and the fall. If we can figure out whether that's a due thing, the board can approve that or not approve it. So that's the end of my report. I will move items 1 through 9. Do I have a second?
Second is Kathy.
All right. Any questions from anybody on what I just reported?
All right, if not,
Okay.
then I'll do a roll call.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees? Oh, Mrs. Lees.
Yes. I knew I was there somewhere. Okay. Okay, Bob, facilities and operations, please.
Okay, the Facilities Operation Committee met last Wednesday, March 11th, for about an hour. We talked about two items. The first one was Doug Lucas and Gretchen covered our methods for cleaning all our buildings with advent of the coronavirus. Doug explained how we bought these electrostatic sprayers way back and foggers that you use to disinfect chemical tablet and put it into the fogger and the sprayer, plus how the extra hand cleaning is done throughout the schools. I think we got way ahead of the curve on this one because of the mold issues that we had the previous years. So we reviewed procedures and everything looks great. We also talked about the lower baseball field. If you remember last time, the coach was concerned about the condition. Doug and Gretchen felt that the fields are in better shape than he portrayed. They are probably in the best shape that we've had for years, and the spring is early. They delivered the clay. It's been spread. Our maintenance people feel that even though there could be a few drainage problems, the cost to fix them is exorbitant. So nothing is planned at the moment. So that's all we discussed. So I'd like to move resolution number 1. Do I have a second?
Second, Janice.
Thank you. Any questions on my committee report? Seeing none, roll call, please, Heather.
Okay. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Brenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes. Okay, Janice, curriculum, please.
Okay, the curriculum committee met on the 10th of this month, and we met for 2 hours, during which time Michael Catelli completed the review of his prepared presentation of district's ESL program. He will present to the Board of Education soon. Then we just talked about the field trip, which was initially approved, but now has been canceled. After that, our middle school principal, Lisa Garofalo, reviewed the middle school code of conduct with the committee. As stated in the handbook, the goal of the middle school discipline policy is to help students develop self-control and responsibility, as well as to provide an opportunity to learn from mistakes and improve their behavior. The middle school objective is to hold students accountable for actions while using restorative practices which take incidents that might otherwise result in punishment and create opportunities to take steps towards making things right. I would just like to say that I wanted to point out that there are a couple of added behaviors in the code of conduct that we're looking at. They are unauthorized access of another's digital resources, etc., and unauthorized access of another's personal property, and willful conduct, which could impact or danger physical or emotional welfare of another. Those items have been added into the handbook, Code of Conduct handbook. After that, our superintendent, Gretchen Dempsey, assistant superintendent, Colleen Butler, and our district's administrators were in the process of planning for the possibility of school closings and remote learning, which, as we all know now, has become a reality. The last thing was the strategic plan. There's an option to postpone the launch until April 15th. So,
And Gwen has indicated that she wants to do this. So our March dates are off the table, and hopefully we'll be able to have that first meeting on April 15th.
okay. So, I would like to move action items 1 and 2 on the agenda. Are there any questions, discussions on what I reported out?
I just have a quick question on item number 1. I know that there's a stipulation with the new language, Sam, by the way, with the new language regarding all, modifications and cancellations as it relates to the COVID-19 situation. My question is just, if we're approving them, is it then at the discretion of the superintendent if they should be rescheduled or come to pass all at a time where we would have too many staff members out of district or out of the building at the same time?
We always balance that with our principals. I'm not overly concerned about that, Sam. What I was hoping is that we have opportunities that staff members applied for. They were approved by their building principals, by their supervisors, by central office. And so I did not want it to look as though the board was not approving these requests. I think they are approving the requests with the understanding that most of them are being canceled. I certainly am not overly concerned about people coming back and saying, well, you approved me, I have to go to this. I think principals are always looking at the coverage issues in their buildings, and usually we work through that pretty reasonably.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Janice, it's Kathy. I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to give a heartfelt shout out to all of the staff and the administrators who work that must have gone preparing for the distance learning. I have a middle schooler and a student at Bedwell, and the programs and plans that were put into place really exceeded my expectations. So I just wanted to say well done to everyone and a sincere thank you as well.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm sure everybody appreciates that. We really have been working as hard as we possibly can, and it's nice to hear that things are looking good from your end.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay, seeing none.
I just need a second. I got Janice moved it, but I didn't get a second.
Second, for Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole. Okay, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue? Ms. Virtue? Ms. Virtue?
Janice, you there? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Let me try Mrs. Rye
Here, yes.
and Mrs. Lees.
Yes.
Let me go back and see. Ms. Virtue? There's, I heard her. I heard her.
I heard her. Okay.
Yes, I think we're on to the next thing on
Okay.
personnel.
That would be personnel and policy. Personnel first, please, Heather.
Okay, personnel met on, March, what was my calendar date here, 12th, I believe it was, at 11:30 for 2 hours, and all members of our committee were in attendance. Dr. Dempsey began by reviewing the personnel position changes and requirements that were reflected in the 2020-2021 budget that they presented this evening, and Dr. Dempsey spoke to a little bit. We then, as all committees did, moved on to talk about COVID-19, and as we are all acutely aware, things evolved quickly following that, I think Tuesday last week. As it related to personnel at that point, Dr. Dempsey had met with the head of our teacher union twice, and also informed us that we had already planned, or that they had already planned the professional service day that took place last Friday to be utilized to work on virtual lessons. So they had already taken that step to begin preparing for the situation that we are currently in. And that was really the bulk of our discussion. I would move items 1 through 7 on the agenda this evening. Is there any discussion or questions?
Others, Kathy, I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing none?
Okay, roll call. Mr. Baker?
Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes. Okay, Heather, policy, please.
Okay, so policy met same day, time, and all of our members were there. The committee began by looking over a letter that we received by the Board of Trustees of the Somerset Hills Mountaineers. We then reviewed the financial information that had been provided to us by Heather Gogan regarding field use and the associated fees. We decided that it would probably be beneficial at some point, and we were going to do it in this meeting, but it got sidetracked a bit by the planning for our remote learning, to discuss the capital budget and just give the public an understanding of how that works, and how we cannot specifically earmark for specific projects within that budget, but how all those projects get prioritized for by our facilities group. So we can plan to talk about that. Probably May would be an appropriate meeting, and you'll understand why as I go through this. So based on the financial information that we reviewed, the policy committee is going to recommend revising the policy, and we would like to put this have a discussion by the full board and put this into first reading in May. Second reading would be in June, and then should it get passed by the full board, we would, effective July 1st, recommend removing the fee at this point for Group B. The committee felt that one of the major challenges we faced as we entered this was that there could potentially have been overuse of the field by outside organizations, but we did make procedural changes that we believe would eliminate this. So we feel that it really would be beneficial for the community to waive this fee, and that in light of the cost that we would recoup to replace the field, we didn't see the benefit of that at this point. If the turf started to be more utilized by Group B members, then we would have to take a look at that with administration to see if we did need to consider having a seat in place. If there were any drastic changes to that use. So at this point, that's kind of where we are. Again, we didn't put it on the agenda because we want to keep that in place for the year. We felt that that would be equitable to all teams, since some teams have used the field and paid for it. One thing the committee definitively agreed upon was that the groups would have to cover custodial costs, because that is a direct cost to the district, as well as continue to cover the cost if they are utilizing the light. So again, this will be subject to a full board discussion in May once we make the recommendation to put the policy into first reading. And that was really it, and there is nothing to move at this point on the agenda.
Any questions or comments? I'm hearing none. Okay. So community relations did not meet this month, and we can move on to supplementary matters. Any supplementary matters from the board?
No, hi, this is Bob. The only item I had, we had scheduled April 25th to have the e-waste recycling at the high school. Don't know where that's going to be, but if we have to postpone it for a year, I know the school has been collecting electronic waste for this event. We'll have to, we can always take it down to the county site, but April 25th is the date. We'll see what happens, okay?
Thank you, Bob. Our tech guys are here and they're like groaning.
I mean, we might be able to have it. It's outside. You know, people drive up in their cars and you take it, but just we don't know where we're going with all these social distancing and whether that's appropriate over a month from now. Well, let's see what happens. I just don't know. I just don't want to promise something we can't have.
No, I hear you.
Any other items? Okay. We can now have public questions and comments on non-actionable items or any items.
Yes, hello, this is Mike Long, 22 Crest Drive. I will be relatively brief. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. And I know I'm probably one of the only things that remains between all of us going back to our families and our bunkers and whatnot. But what I would say is I appreciate the report of the policy committee. Thank you, Chairperson Santoro. And we very much, I think as you all know, I'm the co-president of the Somerset Hills Mountaineers. I'm the vice president of the Somerset Hills Lacrosse Club. We certainly had intended to have more of a showing and certainly more participation from a broader section of our boards and our community, but given the circumstances, I continue to draw the short straw as much as I enjoy everybody's opportunity to speak here. But I just want to say thank you for considering this. Thank you for taking it, sounds like, in a very positive direction. As it relates to what I heard about the custodial charges, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And I'm not going to sort of get into any sort of additional details, but but I'll repeat what we said in our letters, that should the policy committee want to hear from us, speak to us, have questions answered, vet anything in advance, get data, get numbers, anything like that, please do not hesitate to call on us. We want to be here and hopefully be part of the solution. And if there are questions or issues that may create, delays or lengthen this period of time, we want to be helpful. We want to work together. And so we do appreciate the direction that the committee has taken. The last thing I'll say is, you all might think that I'm sort of a one-trick pony. This is my one thing. Believe me, both myself and our clubs and our programs have much bigger and broader visions for how we see our community and our roles in the community. This is one step. It's obviously a very important one, or we would have given up a long time ago. I just want to and you all have, and we all have, so many more important things to deal with today and in the coming days. So I don't want to lose sight of that, but I think it underlines one thing, and I'll leave it at this. We shouldn't waste a day. We shouldn't waste a year. We shouldn't waste a minute to help provide for things for these kids. And I know you all believe in that. I know all the good things that you do on this board, you believe in that. But we believe in that too, and we think that having a field that is available to kids, that exists and isn't available to kids is just the wrong thing in this town. So we do appreciate the opportunity to hopefully turn this around in a direction that one more small thing can be behind us and all the good things, or at least the things we have to overcome, maybe in front of us. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments out there for us tonight? Okay, if there are none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry, I have to jump in here because I forgot at the very beginning, and this is my fault, but at the very beginning of our agenda, after the roll call, in between the roll call and correspondence, we had a resolution for suspending the policy for public meetings that we needed to pass. So if we could circle back to that and have somebody make a motion to do that, yes, we do have to vote on that so that we can continue to do that.
Okay.
So could somebody make that motion? Janice, thank you. A second?
Second. Nicole.
Nicole, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yeah.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober? Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I need a motion to
Yes.
adjourn.
I'll make a motion, Bob.
All right.
Thank you, Bob. Second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
I'll second. Who's first in there?
Heather was.
Oh, Heather was first. Okay, thank you, Heather. And thanks, everybody, for participating. I can't say for being here, because we're not all in the same place, but for participating, and hopefully next time we can meet in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
good
good night,
night.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.